on time. But Breezy Friday. Breezy Friday extra credit. Put today's date on there is 2/12, Breezy Friday. And Taylor, why don't you go ahead and just send me an email, Breezy Friday. Yeah, so I was going to talk about Monsterly Cold Monday. I live 2 blocks from campus, so the bottom line is we're just going to be right here as normal. But anybody, if you want, you can show up on Zoom. So if I'm here alone, I'm here alone. But if you guys want to get out of your dorm room and come stretch your bones and come to class, then come to class. But I will be here physically on campus because I only live a couple blocks away and I'm from Minnesota originally. So as much as I don't like this cold and snow, I know how to deal with it. So mentally and physically. Like I got my own underwear on today. So that's easy. All right. So yeah, turn in your extra credit in case anybody else can relate. You guys get those. And then pull out another piece of paper. So I had you guys do the video section of the last video section. So we're going to start off with the discussion question there, which is the saving one. So it's kind of a little bit of a recap money, but the whole exercise talked about looking for deals and where you can find deals. And so discussion question number 1, if I can get it on screen here. So, are you saving money as a college student? What are the new ways you can save money? So in the course so far, think about some new ways that maybe you're like, I can maybe do that. Or, we've done lots of things. It's not just this chapter, but it's certainly, we've gotten a lot of tips on this chapter. So I'd like you to list 3 things you can do to help you save money. For starters. If you want to title that on your paper, you can put 3 ways to save money or something for the first thing. We're going to be adding on to what we're doing there. Michael, number between 3 and 5. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Caleb, just give me one of yours that you found interesting. 5 generic items. Okay, give that one a try from our exercise last night. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alyssa, give me just one of yours. Okay. Okay, so that was the oh my gosh, now you're making me right here. Sinking fund. So where you say that you want to save up where you're thinking to buy a certain thing or something later. So it's going to be a $1,200 thing, and I'm going to put $100 a month away. Yeah. So that was called a sinking fund approach. Good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Ooh, cash to the wall instead of the card. Yes, it's a little more painful to bring the cash. Taylor, one of yours.
I used budgeting, but I thought student discounts were a good one.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think budgeting is probably the biggest one, actually. Just kind of seeing your money and where it's going is probably the most helpful thing. And certainly student discounts help too, but that budgeting, zero-based budget is a monster. Daily.
Sell unwanted items.
Sell unwanted items. Okay, good. Sienna. Not go out to eat as much. Okay. What? Negotiate. Okay, so which tip did you like the best? Which one worked for you the best in terms of the negotiations? Like which, we had those 7 tips. You were here yesterday, right?
Oh yeah, like just
shut up. The shut up is an easy one to remember. Shut up, and he who speaks first loses, kind of related to that. And see what happens. The other person might just start talking and giving you stuff. Okay, good. So this last video section had go into garage sales and flea markets and other things. And so I realized that some of you, I think we showed a show of hands last time, haven't done that much in your life. And if you get to a point where you're, needing money to save money or otherwise, this is incredible. You think you're getting a good deal at Kohl's when you get the 30% off in the mail on a little scratch thing, or you think you're getting a good deal even at 60% off at the closeout sale at Dick's Sporting Goods, which I went to, and I did get some good deals there too. They have a little closeout thing in Malaysia, where the old Best Buy was. Check out what I've done. So this is just a little list since I've lived in Ottawa. When we moved down here, we had a house that needed a lot of renovations, and I was in real estate and did a lot of, we had our own construction company, so I'm pretty familiar and willing to do anything almost to a fault of tiling floors and changing, refinishing wood floors, painting, drywalling, electrical, you name it. I'm pretty much willing to dabble into everything. And so when we needed something new, my first thing to do is check eBay and Craigslist pretty much whenever I want something new. And so what you find is some people had a new item that they got as a gift or something, and they didn't really want it, or somebody changed their mind and they had this leftover, but they had bought it 6 months ago, so they couldn't easily return it to the store, whatever. So a lot of brand new items, they're not all just used items. And so here's kind of a list. So our dining room light that's in my dining room right now, I got for $40. It was a $250 light. The window is probably the one I'm most proud of. So I have this huge 7 foot by 7 foot window that I put into our sunroom that was being used as a bedroom, and then we renovated it back to being a sunroom. And oh my gosh, I was sticker shocked at how much you can spend on putting a big window. And I looked on Craigslist, and there's this couple that lived on a lake, and they were remodeling, and they had this 7 foot by 7 foot window, and it just said, if you can come and take it out, take it away, it's yours. And so I spent some money on a Sawzall blade, and went up there. I didn't even have our full trailer. I guess I went and looked at it first, and then we came the next day with my son. And I'm just chiseling away at this window in this lake home. And my son at one point said, "Dad, do you know what you're doing?" I'm like, "Sure." Because I really didn't. I hadn't taken out a window like that before, and I'm in these people's house, and I'm like, "Shut up, the people are right over there." And so I'm chiseling out this window, 7 foot by 7 foot. We kind of had a cart. I took it over. I didn't have an easy trailer at the time, and so I put it on top of my boat. So I have my old kind of junker boat, and right on the gun rails of the boat, I've got a 7 foot by 7 foot, strapped it down, and drove an hour back from Kansas City back to Ottawa, and managed to do it without breaking the window. And that window's in my house in the sunroom right now. So that was a pretty big savings. The storm door, the stone tile that's in that same sunroom, electric floor heating. I put electric heating so that the tiles are warm when you walk on them, because it's not really heated in that sunroom. My tractor sprinkler, I love that thing, the little yellow tractor that kind of goes and follows the tube around. I found that at a garage sale. The clothes, some of the clothes that I wear, like the suits, found an unused suit, I think, at a garage sale once, and $5 I picked it up for, and it was brand new, and it just happened to fit. When you go garage sale, you're not always going to find things. I was in a little bit better shape 7 years ago. Now I'm back a little bit heavier than I probably want to be, but back then there was guys my age that were getting too fat, so they'd have medium-sized clothes, and I found like brand new clothes at the time for super cheap. My turkey fryer for doing the Thanksgiving turkey. What do we got? The dryer that we have in our house right now. We still have that dryer. Pop-up tent, ceiling fan, just miscellaneous crap. But the miscellaneous crap, and this was just over a fairly small period of time, ended up being about $12,700 worth of stuff that I picked up at these prices for about $1,200. So that's what I call a sale, right? If you start being creative, 90%, and you start kind of doing that on a regular basis and kind of having that mentality. And again, some of the stuff is basically brand new. It's not like I'm buying used crappy stuff from that's all worn out. It's just people get rid of things for different reasons. They're selling it. Like I said, it could have been a gift that didn't quite work, or the color wasn't quite right, or whatever. So that's kind of how I roll. Those are the types of discounts I love. I'm kind of a deal junkie. Like, if I don't get a deal on something, like I don't feel real good about it. So it's like I gotta have a good. I'm a junkie on it. Give me a deal. Give me a deal. And so I'm always kind of looking, squeezing, turning, trying to find different places where there's a deal. And it's paid off pretty good for me over time. Like I said, this is just a fraction of the stuff that I've bought, that I just like to kind of show how much you can save. So again, the flea markets and the Thriftopia and Salvation Army, that's not just for yucky people that go in there. I go in there, unless you consider me poor and yucky. It's okay to go in there and get a nice deal for $3 or $4, especially as a college student who's trying to make ends meet. It's certainly just fine, and you're helping out in other ways too. So I would usually bring a box of clothes to donate, and then I'd go in the store and kind of look for some more stuff. Hopefully, I need to really reduce the stuff at the house, so hopefully I was bringing more than I was even buying, but I couldn't resist. What was in there? All right, let's do case studies next. Any questions or comments? I think I asked before, how many of you kind of deal shop? I thought maybe daily. Taylor's a deal person. So just kind of experiment. You might be surprised. Like I said, if you didn't kind of grow up with that way with your parents, then you might not even understand how good a deals there actually is out there. And it can be kind of fun too. You can go to the garage sales and talk to the people if you want, if you're social. If you're not, you can pretty much walk around and say nothing. So it's kind of up to you on if you want to be social or not, have those things as well. All right, so case studies. We're going to start with Jamie and the new Taurus. So if you want to put Jamie on your sheets, Jamie and the Taurus. So Jamie is a sophomore in college where she's majoring in economics. Good choice, smart girl. Her 1992 Ford Taurus is on its last leg. She's been car shopping and found two possible deals for her situation. The first car she found is in great condition, low mileage, and is for sale for $9,000. She also found a car for $7,000, which is not as good a shape and has higher mileage. Jamie only has $7,500 to spend. So which car would you recommend Jamie to buy? So should Jamie buy the higher price car? If so, what are three negotiating tips? So do 1 and 2. So Brady, what do you got? What do you think for this one, for number 1 here?
I go for the 9,000. Try to negotiate it down.
Okay. And what would be your offer on something like that? So she's got $7,500 to spend. The asking price is $9,000. What sort of offer would you make on the $9,000?
Probably stay around the 7,500. Because if it's 7,000, really, that's the question.
So give me a number. What are you going to offer this seller? The seller has $9,000 price tag. What are you offering if you're in Jamie's situation?
Probably around 7,300.
7,300. Okay. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Michael.
I also went for the $9,000 car just because I feel like it's better bet. I remember you saying that it's better to get a good, reliable car instead of one that might break down.
Okay.
And I thought the same way.
Sure, if you got the money for it, right? So are we doing a car loan, I guess, is probably question number 1. Are we doing a car loan?
No, I was just
No. So yeah, and I wasn't saying you were, but I just thought we kind of flushed that out. That $7,500, you could get a $1,500 loan. If you had to pay $9,000, you get the good car. Are we at that mentality? No. Right. So we're thinking we're going to pay cash for a car, get the best car that we can, given the funds that we have. Okay. And so, so you're shooting for the $9,000 car, and you're not going to do a loan on it. So what are you going to offer, given the circumstances? And if you pull your hood out.
I was thinking the same thing. And then for like negotiating.
7,300?
Yeah.
What do you mean? No, I want to give me your exact number. Or was it magically you were actually going to do 7,300, or what's your number?
Oh, no, like, I mean, I'm $7,500 to spend. I was going to try to negotiate the price down.
Yeah, no, give me your opening offer. Like, you're sitting in front of the seller, they've got a $9,000 price tag. You say, how would you be willing to do?
7,000.
7,000. All right. So does anybody say we just go with the lower price car and negotiate it? Is anybody thinking we just go for the $7,000 car? We still can negotiate off it too, right? But she seems kind of like that. Okay, so nobody's there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alyssa, what's your thinking on this?
I would have
Okay. What would be your opening offer?
I would say
7.5 or 7,000?
7,000.
7.5. You just offer the 7,500. Okay. And kind of, would your approach then be, again, assuming we're not doing a loan or anything, is like, this is all I got, 7,500, take it or leave it. Is that kind of what you're thinking? Okay. All right. Who has any numbers lower than this, or are y'all kind of in this range? Daily, what are you thinking?
I would say 6.
6. Okay. Anybody lower than 6? So everybody's kind of in that range of an offer. Okay. So offering stuff on negotiations is, I think, kind of an art form with your opening offer. Now, some people would say, offer 4,000 or offer 4,500, like let's say 50% or something like that. So why, I don't agree with that. Why? Why not start with the low ball, at least in Kansas and maybe north? I've heard in some places down south, that's just the way you negotiate. You start with the low ball. Everybody knows your low ball is BS, and that's just the culture. Right, so you might have to be kind of aware of the culture. When I've gone to India, I haven't ever bought a car there, but I've been to India 3 times, and they are master negotiators. I had an Indian business partner, Indian business partner, and they are excellent at negotiating. And they tend to be there's no price, we're this far apart, and let's figure out what we can sell this thing to. So. Lots of Americans go over there and get pay some higher prices than they have to. They're tourists, maybe they don't care, maybe they don't mind doing that, but it's kind of fun to negotiate in other countries too. So I don't agree with the low ball. Why? And it sounds like you guys don't either, at least at this point, unless you're just trying to avoid conflict. But why would the low ball not be maybe the best route to go? What could you imagine happening? Yeah, you made them upset, right? Okay, so what about 50%? 4,500, that's still very low relative to what you guys are. And maybe even if we're, if we think about, I'll get off of this car idea and somebody's asking $100, I don't advise that you offer $50 either, 50%. What does 50% do? On top of maybe offending them, what does 50% kind of signal to the other person you're negotiating? They're wanting 100, you offer them 50. What do you think you're signaling to that person? What's that? Can't afford it? I don't even mind that signal. Because if you're poor, you can't afford it, you don't wear your nice clothes, you don't drive your nice car, right? Or whatever. You kind of come off that I don't have the money into it. So I don't mind that part. So if 50-50, what I found over time is that it kind of looks like you just want to negotiate, like you're encouraging them to counter offer you back. It's a little too easy to just cut the number in half, right? So you're kind of saying, hey, I don't really mean this, but how about half of what you're asking? And then what's the likely thing going to be for the person coming back? Assuming they're you know, like I said, the low ball might just tick them off, like I don't even want to deal with it. But, you know, half, at a garage sale anyway, around lower priced items, maybe half would get you somewhere. But what's the person likely going to want to do? We talked about it last time. What's the bias that people have? Meet in the middle. So what I have found, if you guys want to jot this down in your side notes or whatever, because I think this is worth remembering. I didn't give you Russ McCullough tip number, whatever we're on, number 3 or 4, is I like to start off my offers somewhere between 60 and 75%, depending on the deal, depending on what you're looking at. So obviously, if somebody else is looking at the car or somebody else is coming to look at it, that's some other tactics that you can do on the other side. But opening offers somewhere between 60 and 75%. And so what I've learned is that if you do half, this person might say, well, I can't do that, but I'll do 75, right? Or somewhere meet in the middle or something like that. But almost inevitably, and I say 75 because I usually try to hit around a little over 50% somewhere. So I just say 60%, just to kind of remember things easier. But if I say, would you be willing to take $60? I'm on a budget. Guess what they do about 95% of the time? If I say, would you take $60? I'm on a budget. What do you think people do most of the time? They just take it. They want to avoid conflict too. It's already somewhere in the middle, like you didn't totally go down to half price, but it's something above half price. And they're like, oh, you're on a budget anyway. So this is just through experience of me negotiating thousands of things by the time all the garage sales, real estate deals. So I've done stuff like this on, you know, super high price stuff and super low price stuff. You know, something's $5 at a garage sale, offer them 3. 95% of the time, okay, that sounds good, right? So they're just going to take it. Most people want to avoid conflict and not engage. If you do half price, I'd say they're a lot more likely to engage with you. And then you're going to be back in the middle somewhere where you end up getting a better deal at 60. If you offer 60%, then you'll have saved $15 as opposed to ending up somewhere in the middle. That's been kind of my general experience. So go for the 60%, a little over half, if you just kind of remember it that way. Again, this depends on the circumstances. So let's see, if we're at 60% here, so 60% of 9,000. What do we got? 10% is 90, or 900 rather, right? So then that times 4 is $3,600 off. So we'd be at 5,700, if I'm doing my math right here, is 5,400, somewhere in the north of 5,000 range. And 75% would be, I don't know, why don't somebody pull out a calculator? Oops, Sienna, your phone should be off the table. Somebody with your laptop or regular calculator. Or I guess I'll let Sienna break the rules. Put that away after you're done. All right, 6,750. So 75% is 6,750. So, you know, 6,500, 6,000. Again, it's not perfect, but that's where I would probably be on this car using that rule of thumb. And it kind of just mentally gives you something that's in the ballpark. So I'd say all of you here are probably a little high, unless the buyer just told you, well, somebody just looked at it yesterday and they sounded like they were interested. Somebody's coming in 2 hours and, you know, whatever, they're interested, whatever. And it might be alignable, it might not. So if you really want the car and you think it would be a good deal, then I might jump up into the 7,500 or 7,000 range quicker than I would if you kind of feel like you've got time to negotiate. But usually with an opening offer, see what they do. I probably still wouldn't go up to 7. I might still say like 6,700 or something, and maybe have one of our don't lie, imply type of things weaved into how you present it. And they might say, I would say on a deal like this, assuming the person wants to get rid of it and, they've had it on for a while, if you offer 6,700 and you do a good enough imply story, what do I mean by imply story? I'm a poor college student, I got tuition coming up, I need a good car, I don't have a lot of money. Whatever you've done to imply that you don't have 7,500 in the bank ready to buy this thing. You with me? So you're implying that I'd say there's a good chance this person comes back and says, well, I'll take 7. Now, if you start at 7, you might end up at 7,500 or something under those circumstances if you didn't play the don't lie, imply game very well, right? So you're just kind of feeling things out, kind of slow play it. Be ready to shut up, be ready to walk away, all of those things, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and you can get better at it. And that's why garage sales are easy to practice because they're all, low dollar items, and see how people respond, how you interact before you enter into the $7,000 car. All right, anybody have any questions or comments there? Okay, how about Whitney? So Whitney works hard to pay as much as she can towards her college tuition and avoids taking out student loans whenever possible. She's noticed that she could use some new clothes before next semester starts and has saved about $300. She prefers to shop at department stores, but knows her money won't go very far like that. Whitney's determined to not go over her budget, so she needs to come up with a plan that'll help her stick to it. So are there other shopping options that Whitney could take advantage of? If so, what are they? So let's go ahead and just answer number 1 only. So if you want to put Whitney on your papers and just answer number 1. Okay, let's see. Okay, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sultan, what do you think for shopping options for Whitney?
Maybe she could go to like a thrift store.
Yeah, so thrift store, good, yeah. So what does a shirt that's been lightly used or possibly even new, what does it run at a thrift store? Those of you who have been there, I know not everybody's been there, but I think a few of you did. I even maybe just told you how much they are, but what does a shirt run at a thrift store? Like $3. Like all of them are $3. Like they don't do like, oh, this is a Calvin Klein super nice shirt that some rich person in Olathe donated, right? It's like every shirt is $3, period, right? And there are racks and racks and racks of shirts and pants and other clothes. So my point is, can you find designer stuff at the thrift store? Those of you, yes, you can, all the time. Because guess whose closets are way too damn full, and they need to make new room for new clothes coming in? Rich people with designer clothes. And they think they're helping the poor by grabbing onto their stuff, throwing it in a box, and bringing it to the thrift store. So you can wear all designer clothes rather than Walmart brand or something. If you need a new shirt, you're thinking you're saving money by buying a $20 shirt rather than Christian Dior shirt. That would be, how much is a nicer designer shirt? You go to the mall, and let me ask the ladies here for women's clothing. So a decent name brand shirt, blouse, what are you spending on? That's a 60? Yeah. So we 60 up to what? Give me a range even. Like even a low end range on a designer blouse of some sort, nicer shirt. How much are you spending at the full blown mall deal? Give me a range. How much? What's that? 40 to 80. Yeah, pretty easy, right? I was talking about Dick's Sporting Goods. It's like I like some of that, 90 stuff and whatever. Everything seems to be 40 to 80, right? As far as retail prices. And again, you think you're getting a good deal. It's $50 and it's 10% off today. What be being done, right? So you get you're spending the 40 to 80 range. And so old Whitney here goes there, and if let's just say they're $50 for argument's sake, she's got 300, right? What is that? 6 pieces of clothing. Go to the thrift store. Maybe you have to go to 4 thrift stores, right? You you go kind of on a mission. Like, I'm going to find some nice designer clothes today. So you don't just go to the Goodwill in Olathe. You head to the Goodwill in Kansas City. You go to the Salvation Army and Lawrence, and you go to the other one, right? So you hit like 4, 5 thrift shops, and you will probably come out of there with 20 pieces of clothing. And I'm not kidding, because I've done it. If you really go on a hunt, it's like, oh, I can't pass this up. Oh my gosh, this is only $3. Oh, this is a golf shirt that's brand new. I can't do that. Oh my gosh, here's a pair of pants, right? So you end up getting 20 items. And what is 20 times, let's use the high end of $5 per article. What's 20 times 5? $100. $100. So instead of getting 6 items of clothing, and I'm talking this clothing looks brand new. I'm not talking it's crappy, it's ratty, it's pilly, it's nasty, it's icky. It is brand freaking new stuff, basically. If you go on the hunt and really look for it, all name brand, and you're gonna, instead of having 6 pieces of clothing, you're gonna have 20 pieces of clothing, and you've only spent $100, not your whole 300. If you want 60 pieces of clothing, you could probably do it too, especially over a period of time. If you kind of have that mentality, I'm gonna go shopping again, and when you get to a point where you have the money and mom and dad aren't funding you anymore, but you got your money planned for other things, and money's a little tight or something, you can still look really nice, right? And if you kind of do that along the way, you start to learn that, oh, I don't have to go to the mall. Now, I like going to the mall once in a while too, right? I don't mind. It doesn't give me awful chills to spend $40, just a little bit, but I pretty much buy one shirt if I really, really like the shirt or something, instead of buying all my clothing that way. All right, so just something to think about, food for thought, that can be pretty impactful. All right. And I just wanted to mention, so my son, of course, growing up with me, poor guy, he's an awesome deal hunter now too. I'm so proud of him in multiple ways. But he is, future mother-in-law, their family have been using a computer monitor that was 13 inches or something. And he knew from experience, he's gone to the thrift store. And again, people will donate, monitors that are 25, 30 inches, whatever, big computer monitors. So he picked one up for a gift for $15, $20, and that was the Christmas gift for the new monitor. And they're like, wow, this is awesome. And they didn't care that it's from a thrift store. Most of the time, you might not, sometimes it's in the box even when you buy it there. So electronics and other things are also there. So he bought a big computer monitor so that they weren't straining their eyes all the time. All right, Jamal and the Bay. Jamal's roommates bike a lot, and he's becoming interested in the sport after hearing them talk about it so much. He's never done much biking, but it sounds like fun and wants to give it a try. But he doesn't want to spend a lot of money on his first bike because he isn't sure how much he will like riding. He's okay with starting with a used bike because he figures he can always upgrade if he enjoys it. Unfortunately, he went to the bike shop and found their prices to be too expensive. So how will the high prices affect biking? Since Jamal doesn't know if he'll enjoy riding, what would you advise him to do? Can you think of any ideas how Jamal can try biking before he invests the money and equipment? So, open question here. What could Jamal do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Taylor, you're up. What do you got to suggest for Jamal and his biking? All his friends are doing it.
Oh, I'm not even muted. I think that Jamal could ask a friend to use their equipment first to get a feel of what it's like.
Yeah. So a lot of people have bikes sitting idle, right? And so, hey, maybe even do a trade or something for a little bit, or I'll mow your lawn if I can use your bike a little bit. How does that sound, right? And they're probably not going to care because if they're not biking at the same time. So yeah, I think doing that a few times to get going. Let's say he gets to the point where he's ready to buy a bike. What might he do then after he's done the test drive? I think that's a great suggestion, Taylor. What might he do then if he's still a little sticker shocked at the bikes at the bike store? Okay, yeah, sometimes you might be able to part something together. That's a good suggestion. Other people? Craigslist, yes, definitely. I told you that's my go-to, like right away, eBay or Craigslist. With a bike, you know, bigger things for shipping and stuff. A lot of times the local Craigslist will be a little bit better. But are there people who aren't being as careful as Jamal that did buy the new bike, did it 3 times, and then moved on to fishing? And so that bike is just sitting in their garage. They paid $1,000 for it when they thought they were totally into it. And this is going to be their new activity, their new hobby. Are there lots of people who do that type of thing? Sure, right? Especially if they have the money and it's just another toy. So they'll list that on Craigslist, and you go drive over to Olathe. I keep thinking on Olathe, but just so you guys know, Olathe Overland Park here in Kansas City is like the 3rd wealthiest area in the nation. So I like to take advantage of those people a lot because they buy lots of nice stuff and they don't use them very much. Like I bought my couch from somebody that was actually in Kansas City Country Club Plaza area. But so we have a very wealthy pool of people to dip into, and that's what they do. They buy the kitchen appliances, and then 2 years later, because they always go out to eat, they've never used the oven, and they want to use stainless steel instead of white, and they want to change the appliances out. That's what they do. They put a barely used range that was $1,500, the Viking high-end, because I like to buy that, like Michael was saying, I shared that with you guys, rather than, if my budget is $700 and I can go buy a GE range for $700, I'd rather buy the Viking or the high-end commercial grade stuff that the rich people buy, because when they dump it on Craigslist, they have to pretty much cut the price in half anyway. So they have their $1,500 range on sale for, you know, $750, $500, whatever. They just need to get rid of it. And it's high quality stuff that is built to really last 100 years probably. And so that's the stuff that I look for. So yeah, hit the Craigslist and look for something like a bike. There's probably lots of opportunities for stuff like that. Okay, well that wraps up this chapter. And so we are on to chapter 8. So that stuff is due Sunday. And then I still want to look at your food for thoughts here, but we'll do the first video of chapter 8, and then we'll check out your food for thoughts from last night. All right, so we've got this little I love debt score, called the FICO with the credit. And so the first section here in your video section kind of highlights this pie graph, which is kind of nice to look at. So they don't have the perfect formula available to the public, but this is basically the fractions. And as they're saying, everything revolves around debt. So if you're doing baby step number 2, which is what? What's baby step number 2? I think I'd throw that curveball. Step number 2. Debt. What about it? Pay it off. Pay off all debt. And then are we living our lives to where we're going into more debt? No. So the only thing, except for now that number 2 has the one caveat, pay off all debt, don't go into any other debt, of course, paying it all off, except for the house. So the house is the only thing you've got going, and what they're saying in this video is totally true. I was in real estate for 20 plus years. You do not need a high credit score to get a house. You just don't. When you think about what you're doing, if you're debt free and you've got a budget and you've got 10% down payment on let's just say a $100,000 house, number's easy. So you're putting 10 grand is what the minimum amount of down payment that Dave recommends. So you've got $10,000, you're debt free, so you don't have any other money going to any other place. You go into a bank and say, here's my situation. Do you look good to them? Yeah, right? You got 10,000. So as opposed to what can be done is possibly as low as a 3% down payment. So another joker comes in and they've got a high credit score, but they've got a bunch of credit card debt, $3,000 down, because of their high credit score, they might get a loan too, but really on paper, the banker says you look better than that person. Right? Maybe both of you will still get a loan, but you actually look financially better than the person who's got a bunch of revolving debt. So that is truly a myth. So I just want to make sure you guys understand that, and if you start to embrace that, hey, I'm going to live a debt-free lifestyle, it's not that. No, we don't want you to go wreck your credit. So one of the things I have you as an extra credit exercise for you this weekend, I have it on the due dates for Sunday to bring in Monday, is get your credit report. So you're going to have a couple of the videos. I did misspeak earlier. I said chapter 7. Chapter 7 I had due for tonight for the chapter 7 stuff. Some of you have already done that. But on Sunday, there's a little interest fees exercise. And then if you pull your credit score, I'd like you to know what's on there. And it might be 0. So, and it's fine if it says, if you don't have a credit score, that's fine. Don't pay for it, though, is the main thing. You can do freecreditreport.com, and it'll give you all the stuff. What we're going to learn in the videos that you're going to watch next is identity theft. And so usually I have one student who has something wrong with their credit report because they've never looked at it before. And so college students, somebody takes your social security number, mom and dad used you to get a card, and mom's got a gambling problem that you didn't know about. I actually had a situation similar to that with one of the students over the years. So that kind of stuff can happen. So I'd like you to know what your credit is. I don't really care. You're not going to get your score unless you pay for it. So you don't have to get the score, but you get the report. And then that'll show. And we'll have some exercises on Monday that we're going to do around that. So try to get your credit report for Monday, and that'll be extra credit. You just show me after class that you pulled it, and then we can see if you had any issues with it. So a banker once told me when I went for a loan, the 5 C's of credit. So this was Joel Tilges, the 5 C's of credit. And the funny thing is, one of them is not credit score. So the 5 C's of credit, this is something bankers have been doing forever. And what I wanted to do with my partners was to convert a fraternity into a bed and breakfast hotel, 13-room bed and breakfast type of deal. We were asking for $1.2 million to purchase it and then to renovate. And so he called us into his office and he said, Russ and Dave, my partner, this is what we call a character loan. I'm like, character? What does that mean? It's like, well, as we look at the financials and your financials and everything says we shouldn't give you this loan. But we're going to give it to you because we've been long-standing customers with the bank. But we were in rental properties and apartments and other things. We didn't know how to run a bed and breakfast hotel type of concept, right? But that's kind of what we did, was we kind of just kept rolling with it. So this is a character loan. And so the loan was based more on my character, not necessarily the financials with this particular investment that we were looking to do. So number 1 is character. You know, do you have a proven record? Certainly a credit score would contribute to character, but it's not, I'm just going to leave it as character, that you don't need a credit score to show your character or to have a reflection of your character and being able to pay your bills back. In the video, they said, like, if you don't have a credit score, copies of you paying your cell phone bill, utility bills, rent payments, whatever, you can show a track record to kind of establish your character. Number 2 on the C list is capacity. Capacity. And so capacity is kind of with your zero-based budget. What is your inflow and outflow of cash? What's your income? How much are you making per month? What are your expenses? What are your outflows? So if you think about your zero-based budget, your capacity is your ability to pay the loan back. If the house ends up being $750 a month, what is your capacity to make a payment to the bank back for $750 a month? So the second C is capacity. Third C is capital. Capital. In this case, we're talking about assets like your possibly your down payment. So how much down are you paying would be part of your contribution to the investment. So I mentioned Dave recommends 10% down. The more you put down, the safer it is for the banker, right? So if you get a $100,000 house and you put $3,000 down, you're getting a loan for $97,000. If you stop paying your bills, the lender gets the house back. But if they sell it, they might have to sell it for 90, right? Because they just have to sell it. Maybe the market is down or something, and so they're going to lose money. Whereas if you put $10,000 down, and they have to pay a realtor to sell it, and the realtor fees and everything else is about 7%, they still might get their money back, right? So they're in a safer position. The more you put down in terms of capital, the safer it is, and so the more that it'll be easier for you to get the loan the more that you do. So 10% down payment is kind of the Dave Ramsey amount. The fourth C is collateral. So the actual house, if you get a mortgage, that asset can be taken by the bank. People who do car loans, the car is actually pledged as collateral. The repo man comes and gets it if you don't pay your bills. So collateral is the fourth C. And then lastly, number 5 is conditions. The conditions of the loan. And so this might be related to the borrower is slave to the lender, is what Dave Ramsey put. So conditions would be restrictions on, okay, we'll give you this house loan, but you can't take out any more loans, right? Like some sort of restriction on what you can and can't do. So they might be able to tell you certain things or place certain limits on what you can and can't do. Okay, so that's really what your credit worthiness is based on. And again, other factors come into play other than your credit score. So don't live your life around credit score is kind of the mantra for that. Any questions or comments there? How many of you have been told, I think I asked this before, but that you got to keep your credit score up, make sure you protect your credit score. Okay, most of you, it looks like, yeah. I mean, it's a normal thing. And again, I don't want you to trash your credit score, but you don't have to live your life building up your credit score, is the moral of the story. Okay, so I wanted to next go look at our food for thought. So I've got Caleb and Daly's here, just for illustration purposes. So Caleb, you came up with about $20 off your list here. So this was the regular brand, 65, and generic brands, 45. And Daily, you had $37 worth of savings. So y'all might get different, depending on what products you picked and stuff, you might get something different. So then you had to look at the dollar value of savings. And then I saw a difference that I wanted to talk about. So Caleb, you had $40,000 worth of savings over, what was that, like 40 years or something like that? So you had 40,000, and you had $20 per month. But Daily, you had 1.7 million.
Yeah, I was kind of confused.
So a little bit of a difference here, 40,000 versus 1.7 million. So Caleb, how did you do yours?
I did 4 weeks.
4 weeks, yep. And you got $80 or something?
Yeah, it was, and multiplied that by 12.
Okay. Times 12 for the year. Yep.
Which equals however much it was.
Right.
Multiplied that number by 40.
By 40 because it was 40 years. Okay.
And then the things that it was, you would get 4%.
Okay.
So I multiplied that by 1.2 and then added that onto the original.
Okay. So you added the interest after you did all that adding, then you added the interest. Okay. And Daily, you had the 1.7. And what did you do to get your number?
Honestly, I don't remember.
Okay. You don't remember at all. It says to go, this is how much of your retirement you are eating by purchasing. Visit foundationview.com. Did you go to Foundation View?
Yeah, I used that.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay. So how is that different than what Caleb did? So you went here, right? Okay. So we go to the college, and we go to the tools and the investing calculator. Is that what you use? Okay. And we started off with 0, right? And then what was our interest rate that we were earning on our money? 12%. Now remember what Caleb did was took the 12 times the other thing, 12%. And then what was your contribution monthly? It was roughly, you had 37. Actually, let's just use Caleb's number. Just you had $80 for the month, right? Okay, so the numbers are going to come out a little bit different, but since we have that one, so let's use Caleb's. And then it was over 40 years. Now, Caleb did 80 times 12 to get it for the year. That number times 40 to get the total number of years. And then you took the 12% on top of that number.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Okay, that's fair enough, but that's why I wanted to bring, this is a big freaking deal, right? It's like $1 million worth of a big deal. And the way you did it is the way most people might approach the problem. But that's part of what this class is about, is getting you guys to appreciate the power of investing your money. Again, I'm not asking you to live on generic food. This is just an exercise to show you that this can amount to a crap ton of money. $950,000 in Caleb's case. So with the power of compound interest, you end up getting a lot of money. Again, what Caleb did was kind of the simple adding, and then it was good that you added the interest at the end, but you basically took 40 years worth of stuff and then you added a single amount of interest on. And so that, as you appropriately said, is missing out on the compound interest. Interest on top of interest on top of interest over 40 years ends up being a very powerful thing. So 950,000, and your number was probably right. So you had $37 times whatever, $40 times the other. So we're going to learn, maybe you're wrong, and maybe it's 8% interest here that you end up earning. That's 281,000. Still a lot higher than just the simple amount that you're saving on groceries, adding it over the years for 40 years. Again, what Caleb did is a way of doing it. It's just not reflecting the true lost amount of interest if you had been doing it in an investment fashion. That make sense? We're gonna that kind of helps us tee up some of the exercise that you have to do for Sunday night. Interest fees is going to be kind of similar to that. Watch videos. This is for Sunday or over the weekend, whatever. Videos 2 and 3. So 2 and 3 of chapter 8. So when we come in Monday morning, we'll start with video number 4, and we'll do some discussion first on chapters or video sections 2 and 3, and then we'll go from there. Yeah, so maybe you came in a little bit late. So I'm going to be here physically. If you want to be here physically, that's fine. I'll send out an announcement too. But otherwise, anybody's available to join on Zoom if you want. You'll be counted present. But I will physically be here. I just live 2 blocks away. So we'll see you Monday, one way or the other.